Hi folks, what I will be assisting in bringing to light here today is, from my perception, one of the most important collective issues of our time and our human history. The programs of powerlessness, limitation, and unworthiness that most of us run to greater or lesser degrees assist in creating and maintaining the great planetary scarcity hoax, and is a large contributor to what keeps the wars going and much of humanity in survival mode, like mice on a never-ending treadmill. We will discuss ideas around releasing these programs of unworthiness, powerless, and limitation, and ideas around gaining sovereignty and autonomy for your life and for your soul. The more people that can dissolve these programs within themselves, the freer we will all be to bring in what we prefer on this planet, and the closer we will all be to peace. So hopefully this little video will be a springboard of sorts for some further investigation into these and related subjects. As the wars rage across our planet, and many of us watch families and friends suffer, we ask ourselves what we can do to help them and to help ourselves in our own lives. No one knows all the answers. Not even the best speakers that our planet has to offer on things like the law of attraction and a lot of these awesome New Age speakers. But one thing is for sure. It is perhaps time for those people of Earth who prefer sovereignty, prosperity, and peace to pull out the programs of limitation, unworthiness, and to assist each other and themselves to help expose the great scarcity hoax that has besieged this planet for thousands of years. I would like to add that we are also living in unique circumstances at present, with our entire solar system currently crossing the galactic equator. So what was once south is now becoming north, and what was once north is now becoming south. The dodgy ones that have run amok on this planet for centuries now don't have the upper hand, or are starting to actually lose the upper hand now as the tides of consciousness are turning. Great shifts are occurring on our planet, and it is sometimes darkest before the dawn. I am not coming from any particular religion or school of thought here, but hope that this information may be general enough and of some use to anyone who chooses to look into these matters further. Personally, I have no fixed belief system to maintain or defend, and I just hope to inspire people into asking themselves some new questions. So in the last few weeks, the world has witnessed the slaughter of many innocent civilians, family and friends in wars across the globe, including in Ukraine and Gaza, leaving many international onlookers feeling devastated and powerless, not to mention the victims themselves, whilst others look the other way and don't see it as their problem, and perhaps it's not everyone's role on this planet, to care about people in wars in other countries. Either way, I'm sure most people who are interested in personal development would agree that the programs of limitation, powerlessness, and unworthiness, and of course the great scarcity hoax, do affect most people across the globe. So these programs are often located within the subconscious mind, within the DNA itself, or within the soul of the individual. So, for example, they are like broken records. So an example, of course, is a phobia. Phobia doesn't make sense to the conscious mind. For example, some people might be afraid of going down a bath plug, and their conscious mind knows it's ridiculous, but no matter what they do, they keep being terrified of bath plugs. Just shows you, so just as far as the subconscious mind is concerned, of course it runs over 90% of our thinking, and of course runs over 90% of our bodily functions. So of course if something's running in the subconscious, the subconscious rules the ship generally. And of course there's this Tavistock Institute, which facilitates the mind control program for the planet. They use very, very sophisticated forms of hypnosis, mass hypnosis, etc., etc., to help, manipulate the minds of the masses type thing. And of course they have got they've got the best psychologists. They even recruited all the Nazi propagandists and psychologists into Project Paperclip. I mean, with a Project Paperclip, but into the Tavistock Institute. So it's just time for humanity now, as individuals, to try and figure out how are we running these programs, where are these programs located, and how do we get rid of them. So, in the words of David Icke, we have been manipulated to create a reality for ourselves that suits the malevolent agenda of the global elite. And when we find out how we have been manipulated to create this reality, we can, of course, then create another reality for ourselves. So, in a nutshell, if humans on this planet really want to be free, we need to delete and dissolve all contracts, oaths, agreements, distortions, and programs from all aspects of our being, across all areas of time and space and non-space, with beings who operate from darkness and false light, which includes some angels, ascended masters, demonic forces, malevolent ETs and other entities, as well as removing and replacing the other regressive programs that hold us back. We can also do these things for others who have specifically asked us to help them pull out of these programs and agreements, if they are in extreme situations and are currently unable to find their own center. We need to locate our seat of clear sight so we can see things such as the manufactured scarcity hoax and other great lies for what they are. The law of attraction is a simply observable and obvious fact, and I feel it is one of the most important fields to investigate for understanding circumstance. But the love and light and law of attraction movement is certainly not without its faults and inaccuracies. I feel that for those who care, we still need to do what we can for those who are asking for help. By helping those who are willing to help themselves, we will not be perpetuating the victim and persecutor cycle. We must remember that it takes, of course, a different frequency to solve a discordant situation than the frequency that created the issues or conflicts in the first place. It is the very nature of progressive energy, being the stronger force code, to have the capability of overriding regressive energy. However, we need to keep in mind that in the case of war zones, for example, demonic portholes are often opened up in these areas by the satanic globalist elite in order to perpetuate and fuel destructive scenarios. If we are concerned about friends and families in these areas, we must remember that we are all one, and we can heal and dissolve unwanted contracts and programs in these parts of ourselves that are represented by our connection to these people and situations. Collectively, if we care, we need to do what we can to close these demonic portholes. Most people in these areas have such severe drops in emotional frequencies that it is easy for them to be taken over by these fear-feeding entities who have a field day in these areas. If you see Emmanuel TV on YouTube, you can see many of these cases. The ritual that the satanic elite annually do is called the cremation of care ritual, where they chant "Begone dull care," so that people across the globe will not care about each other. Something else which is also relevant is this thing called the seat of our soul, which is basically where our point of power is located. So where is the seat of my soul and what is it? From my experience, it is located here. Where is this, you may ask? Well, this is actually a very interesting, powerful, immensely powerful, and secret key. Every person has one, and every person's key is different, with slightly different characteristics, different tones, and can only be unlocked by the person who owns it. It is a gateway, a portal, and knowing about it has tremendous creative potential for the individual and for the planet. Another aspect in regard to the seat of the soul is that it is, by its nature, a location of integrity and authenticity. It is authentic because the energy that emanates from it is uniquely you. If you are not in your truth, not in your authenticity, and not in your integrity, you cannot access the seat of the soul, you cannot access your location of power. So for the sake of this conversation, we shall call it Master Key, and it is located in the seat of the soul. This is the point, the porthole that you enter into this world. Satanists, for example, kill things during their rituals because death opens up this porthole and birth, but So they believe they can spread their spells further this way. Anyway, in sacred geometry it is known as the monad. And whether you agree or disagree with sacred geometry in general or not, it is besides the point. In regards to what we are discussing today, I know that some of the New Age people, such as Ashiana Dean, believe that sacred geometry in general is part of the matrix of control, whereas other New Agers absolutely love it. Either way, this particular key is far beyond sacred geometry, or anyway, well, that's another topic for another day. Our point of power is located within present time, between and beyond light and dark, between and beyond up and down, beyond duality, beyond polarity paradigms. Also, just a little side note, most laws by our governments are actually fiction, because they are written in past or future tense. Most citizens don't know this, but that's another story. Anyway, this point of power is balanced. It's over here, not over there. You can find it when you are centered, sovereign and autonomous. Also, the conscious beta mind brain state generally keeps us thinking in terms of past and future. The being in the conscious mind, of course, we can't really access this point of power very much, because one of the characteristics of being in the beta mind, of course, is that we can't really access the present time. Also, just another side note, which most of us probably already know, but information that can be used to help give us intuitive guidance about where to go and what to do regarding the problems of today can't really be accessed by the beta brainwave conscious mind. And there are also, of course, many teachers who talk about this, and their levels of alliance with universal truth vary. There are also, of course, many false teachers, especially in the New Age movement, well, I suppose in many different movements, who work within the false dualistic, false light and dark paradigms, with a lot of us and them separation consciousness, and you can tell when it's a false system because there's hierarchy, righteousness, and a lot of ego, similar to many religions, and of course similar to a number of spiritual practices. One of the best researchers that I've heard speak on the nature of exposing the dark and false light deception is, of course, a healer called Cameron Gray. I highly recommend that you YouTube him. I'll add his name again later. Anyway, so the seat of your soul is your point of power. If you can specifically intend to create from this location, or when you command something you want to create, create it from this location, and if you can learn how to turn this master key and unlock your own power in which to manifest change or manifest what you want. And also you can use this point of power to help reprogram or dissolve these programs that enslave you, and in turn these programs that enslave this whole planet. You can have the power eventually to assist those who ask you for help by being an uplifter and a visionary, if you are in this place operating from this point of power. The characteristics of this key is that it is your own specific frequency signature that makes you unique and gives you your true name. Your name is a code of light, sound, and other information that is beyond words, and is the fractal or piece of source that carries your personal, unique essence. It is a great and secret key. A key that the malevolent powers who believe that they rule this planet and believe that they rule you have been doing everything to try and stop you from finding it. So, just to mention a few things ad nauseum, all the electromagnetic interference, Wi-Fi, mobile phones, toxins in the food. A huge one is fluoride. That's not a short conversation. People make the fluoride debate so complicated when it is actually quite simple and quite tangible. There's many types of fluoride. I think there's about 7 or 8 primary types of fluoride. The only type of fluoride that is remotely okay is calcium fluoride. Of course, it's not calcium fluoride that they're putting in the water and in the toothpaste. It's sodium fluoride or hydrofluoric silicic acid, which of course is a byproduct of smelt aluminium. No, it's pretty verifiable, simple fact. It is one of the primary things that just makes people docile. Just have a look and do a bit of research on it yourself. Of course, one of the main cause of cancer, etc. But on that note, water in general is a huge factor in programming. If you have a look at the scientific research, for example, of Dr. Emoto, you can see the degree to which water can be programmed and can also be used as a programming device. Water is one of the most programmable substances on this planet, and if you can imagine that we are 70% water, so the water you drink has a massive effect on your entire being and your consciousness. So just something to keep in mind. Also, a lot of the shamans, so like Little Grandmother, the American Indian shaman, for example, they are all programming crystals and putting them into the main waterways on the planet. So maybe something to consider doing. But there's 1,001 things that are designed to take us out of our seat of power. One very important symbol to start thinking about, you see these arrows going outwards. These arrows are going outwards are when we are in our point of power and we are centered and we have rubbed out the thoughts and ideas of the peanut gallery. We'll go into that in a second. But the powers that be, or whatever, try everything so that we turn the arrows around, pointing inwards. Another way that they get to point the arrows inwards is this thing called object referral thinking. So object referral thinking, in a nutshell, is when everything you think about things is located outside of yourself. One example of object referral thinking is I, for example, am an artist, and when people ask me, is there such a thing as good or bad art? My answer is, whose opinion are you thinking? Art, of course, is meant to be a reflection of who you are, what you like, what you don't like. But the art world, as an example, is set up as a complete thought dictatorship. They put the crap on the walls for everyone to enjoy. There is no skill is not revered in the modern art world. Of course, when you put a splodge on the wall and people look at it in a gallery, they get confused because they're thinking, what is this splodge doing on the wall? And of course, confused people always love to be told what to think. So then the thought dictators can come and tell you what to think. Many people are lost and do not know who they are. There is more power in knowing who you are and finding yourself than you realize. Of course, the other example of object referral, well, it's a little bit different, but is the of 2 + 2 = 5 paradigm. A lot of people know about the 2 + 2 = 5 paradigm. Basically, in a lot of the schools now, especially in America, they are setting up or teaching the children a system of mathematics that has no definitive correct answer. Of course, then the children get confused because the correct answer is the answer we tell you. Okay, so that's part of the programming. Starts early, starts in the schools. Another aspect to object referral is morals versus integrity. So integrity is our innate ability to be able to discern what is right and wrong. Integrity comes from the inside out. Morals come from the outside in. Morals is that which your community, your school, your religious people tell you is right or wrong. Of course, David Icke, as one example, goes into much greater depth about these types of object referral scenarios. Okay. So just in brief, I'll just discuss a brief meditation by which you can visualize to help clear yourself of the thoughts and ideas and chords and whatever from the peanut gallery, which take you out of your point of creative power. Also, just another note on the point of creative power. The primary law of the universe is, of course, do what you wilt, but harm thee none. So arrows going out, do what you wilt, meaning also have autonomy. But harm ye none is the whole of the law. So do what you want, but as long as you're not harming anyone. But of course the Satanists left out the harm ye none part of universal law and just kept the do what you wilt part. And of course the Satanists, as most of you know, are running the planet, or think they are running the planet, until people start pulling out these programs out of themselves and say enough is enough. Okay, so with regards to this meditation, you simply just visualize yourself in a room, a white room, which is located in the center of your head. And in this room, you imagine this golden light, or whatever color light you feel most comfortable with, streaming over your body. But gold is usually a good color. Purple's not a bad color, although some people, again think of the color purple's a bit questionable. But either way, so light coming from the central sun, pouring down your body into the core of the earth, and you can watch. So you're standing in this pillar of light, and around you are all the people, their thoughts, their ideas, their stories. And slowly, as this light pours over you, you watch the people slowly dissolve around you, and all their energies dissolve until you are in a completely white room. Just one way to clear your energy. So here is some script that you can use to help you reprogram, recode some of these programs. So you can say, so you can either write these down, which is a very good idea, and then you could even burn the piece of paper. And I would recommend that you also read it out aloud, because there is something about your own subconscious mind hearing your own voice. Also possibly a good idea to, you can read it out in front of other people. So the script goes something like this. I, from the location of my true source name, command that you show me how to and what it feels like to delete any oaths, contracts, agreements with powerlessness, scarcity, and unworthiness. Delete contracts with beings of darkness, and delete contracts, oaths and agreements with beings of false light. Right now, across all areas of time and space, and across all areas of space-time and non-space, from all parts of me in my soul, body, mind, and other extensions of myself. Replace these programs with the best replacements for my best and highest good in now time, and show me how to and what it feels like to live without the old programs, and how to and what it feels like to live with the new programs. And please return my soul fragments to me which have been lost because of these programs. So return my soul fragments to me, washed and cleansed. Thank you. It is done. It is done. It is done. So also there's various methods of reprogramming. Another method, of course, is the NLP method. That previous one was a bit of a theta healing method. The NLP method is a little different. Something along the lines of visualizing. Let's just use the powerlessness program as an example. So if you're using the NLP method, you would be visualizing the first time that you felt powerless, and you would visualize yourself standing in front of that moment, and then downloading the higher learning of that situation, and seeing like 7 colors and all the various aspects of downloading the higher learning. Then you would go through that moment again where you first felt powerless, and you would go through it with a completely different understanding of what's going on. And after you have gone through that, you visualize and see your past timeline change and your future timeline completely change. People like, as I said before, Cameron Day, he's got a far more comprehensive programming assistance on his website, but of course there's many different methods of reprogramming if people want to have a look at it. Kinesiology is another one. Also, one last thing before we go. There's been a lot of talk about the ascending to the 5th dimension. A lot of channeled material. I used to, think it was correct. Lately, I have got new information that it is possibly not quite correct, and that we're not actually meant to be ascending anywhere. That what we are actually meant to be doing on this planet is bringing our higher selves down into our own bodies, which essentially makes our point of power much larger. So apparently, according to the researcher Chris Thomas, who apparently is also a reader of the Akashic Records, I think his work is relatively authentic. According to him, each person only runs about 15% of their higher selves in their bodies, and if we can clear ourselves enough to bring in more of our higher selves, our level of creative potential will also shoot through the roof, and then nothing can stand in our way, and this planet can be prosperous. And there are safety mechanisms in place with all this potential creative power. None of it actually works properly if it does come from a place of ego. And also just knowing that the geometric structures in sacred geometry and such things of the frequencies of love and hope and prosperity, etc., are much stronger and more stable and can therefore override the frequencies of despair and that type of thing, even with things like programming the water. And also I just thought I'd mention a couple more side notes for you to consider investigating. The one is just in regards to toxins in the body. Of course, toxins can be doorways, you know, for entities and malevolent forces, simply because toxins, of course, are a frequency, and usually they are a similar frequency to malevolent entities and such things. Man, of course, is the only creature who poisons himself via his own hand. And of course, the more toxic you are, the more open you are to manipulation by entities or even coding. Also, just regarding this image of the seat of the soul, some people also may ask, you know, where is the soul actually located in the body? From my investigations, the soul is actually located within every single cell of your body. And also, just speaking of food, I've always been told we are the spirit, not the body. And only in recent times have I actually discovered that that's not 100% accurate. The resonant frequency of your body has a blueprint, and you actually take that blueprint with you when you die. So yeah, we do take our bodies with us energetically when we die, apparently. And also, just one last thing with regards to this image of the seat of the soul. These rings here are actually gates, earth gates, star gates, galactic gates. In order for us to be projected into this holographic universe, we do go through various gates. Now, this type of language might go over most people's heads, which is fine. But if you want to do any more investigation on the holographic nature of reality, well, I suppose one of the best books there is written by the quantum physicist Michael Talbot, who wrote the amazing book called The Holographic Universe. And so I'll just leave you with a prayer of protection, which you can say over yourself, and you can adjust it, or you can say over other people you're trying to send protection energy to. So I, from the location of my true source name, command the healing, cleansing and protection of my mind, body and spirit, and all other extensions of myself across all area of time and space and non-space. Right now. Thank you. It is done. It is done. It is done. So thank you very much for listening here today. Here are some of the people you can have a look at for further research, and I'll leave you with this little film clip I made a couple of years ago.